Hi there everybody, my name is Kate. Welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Let's move around just a little bit, at least more of my picture back there. I'm coming in today, I was thinking about something. I went to a experiential thing this morning, a meditation type experience that had some sound and light healing, and it was just really cool. Wasn't even remotely anything that I was expecting, what I was expecting out of it. Not sure what I thought. However, what I got was that as I was in there, is that we're really pressing going forward. This is a timeless message, they all are. However, currently, just for reference point, we're moving into a supermoon. Supermoon's very, very powerful, right? In just a couple of days, we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde. I'm pretty sure it just went direct too, or it's right there. I mean, we got a lot of stuff converging and, you know, a lot of stuff going on. And so what really hit me was that over this last transit, you know, maybe the last week, 10 days or so, it's been increasingly, I've noticed that my ability to go from feeling quite happy and satisfied with myself to, you know, crying, grieving, and, you know, our deep, deep, deep stuff was, you know, right there. It's been right there. I mean, and truthfully, if there's some tears that are coming, that means there's grief that needs to be grieved. You know, I don't want to plug that up, but I can't say I necessarily, you know, always love it whenever it comes out of the blue, and all of a sudden I find myself, you know, just caught with this overwhelming sense of grief, you know, which Mercury retrograde, that, you know, we're at that time when, you know, we're coming into the fall, things are going to transition, they're going to change, and then we have that turn where things expire, you know, the leaves fall off the tree and we go through that dormant period, and so it's just the cycle. I'm just really weary of the cycle sometimes, but it's such a relief that even though, you know, it feels that it's more soulful in this Mercury retrograde than any other so far for me personally, that it's, as it's releasing, then it's really, 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 really going away. Not all at once, obviously, because I think that a lot and I go, cool, I must be done now. Yeah, which is laughable for me. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get to that point, that I'm completely done. Wow, if I am, I surely hope by then I'll be flying everywhere of my own accord. But the string of information that I was getting is that it's very easy on a regular day on planet Earth to feel very orphaned, you know, to feel very, you know, isolated and alone. And we've definitely been seeing some major changes in what's happening in our world since 2020. You know, we've seen major changes, and we've had to shift and adjust how we live and accommodate being flexible. We've lost a lot. You know, we're grieving that the world is just in a tight space, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time right there, but it can leave us feeling very orphaned. And so if we look at the converse of that, you know, if I wasn't an orphan, what would I be? Well, I would be the child of something else, you know, really fantastic, whoever didn't orphan me, right? the family where I wasn't orphaned. And so what came to me is that being an orphan of the world is far more painful than being a child of the universe. And it's incredibly easy to be the child of the universe. It really is. However, it's a complicated path once you start. Once you get going there, it's very easy to move through the skills. The complicating part is when the orphan of the world meets us with all the human emotion and the fear and the, you know, child of the universe doesn't spin out in the universe still upset about stuff on a human emotional level. If we can levitate and lose bodies and go spatial and astral with things, we're not real hung up, you know, in what kind of a day we had or an experience, our past, etc., which is great. It sounds like it wouldn't be. However, when we blend that child of the universe that's never been wounded, not one time, it's fresh, beautiful, nubile energy. It's very, very, very tender and juicy. That's what I'm talking about, child of the universe. We're that substance, right? We are that. Well, trying to mount that into the world experience can be quite you know, heaven and earth. We don't mean to be unruly. We don't mean to be uncouth. We don't mean to be unaware of that childlike wonder. We forget that we have that skill, that undying, that everlasting, you know, gobstopper. Not many of us have ever had one of those, so we have no point of reference. So it is, in fact, very easy once we really, really can lock into the I'm a child of the universe. Cool. Now, how do I move through the being an orphan of the world? Because here's the truth. Ooh, buckle up, because this one, truthfully, I mean, I like to get right where it is raw. You know, please give me the worst case scenario, not because I'm going to build and magnetize towards that, because I want to look at my scene and see what's really, really, really true, and then work within that parameter. I'm not fooling myself. I'm also not, you know, putting things that aren't there, so, or taking away things I don't want to see. I'm giving an objective, third-party view of something. That's how we take that child, right, and can cope with the orphan of the world is the one who knows that no matter how much family we have, no matter how many friends we have, what great job and what stellar people we have been or not, either way, no matter what life we live, we know there's a terminal end to this, okay? We know that our life will come to a conclusion at some point. We already know that. We're all aware of that. And so that is lingering always in the back of our mind. And we see the cycle going continuously, day and night, day and night, day and night, and we win and we lose, and we win and we lose, and we win and we lose, and we have a hard time conceptualizing something that never dies, that never fails. That's why being a child of the universe is simple, because there's no fail to it. Where we get orphaned by the world is when we don't fully realize that one day, when it's time to go away, you're on your own. You meet that on your own. The come to Jesus meeting, if you are a Jesus believer, that's a journey on your own with him. If whatever you choose to believe in as your path of where you go, what you do, or how you're ending preparations, whether you have them or not, if we're aware of it and we're looking and thinking about that, we understand that that comes to a conclusion. And there's a very vital way that we can move throughout the building to not experience all the rough and horrible experiences again and again and again and again and again by repeating them, because we were so hurt, we were so this, we were so that, and believing that we really are orphaned by the world because we're orphaned by God, or we're orphaned by Brahma or Allah or, you know, Mother Mary or whomever, because we've been orphaned by human beings. That's an easy conclusion. Human beings will orphan us all the time, whether they mean to or not. They disappoint us even in the slightest. And if we're not jiggy with the fact that we're going to meet Jesus on our own, we can get real triggered with that and not even really fully understand why. Part of why is that universal source, we really know at a very deep cosmic level that that's our mother, that's our father, that's our creator source. That's the embryonic oven in which that comes from. When all those little cakes come out of that oven, that comes from up there. So my cosmic parental stuff, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, actually comes from far further than just what was chromosomally, DNA, genetically, etc., passed down to me. It was far more than that. So pardon me, I had to step away for a moment to clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. Yeah, our input from cosmic divine mom and dad, if you will, is a perfect system. Our parents, they were instilled with the same cosmic system that we were. However, if they weren't in touch with theirs, they're going to parent through what they know, which is their ego, the human construct. If we don't work through our spiritualized self, our understood inside internal child of the universe self, our spiritualized and actualized self, Maslow type stuff, then we oftentimes are working out of our ego. And when we're real super ego identified, whether we mean to be or not, we are totally bred and like, totally jammed into being very egoic. We absolutely are. So there is no shame in any of this. It's just the state of being. Because what? I like being a realist. Give me everything there is to give and know that you better be able to die alone. You know, that's really what the truth is. Let's just get it right where it is that we have to be able to meet whatever the scariest thing in our life alone. And for most of it, it is death, that we feel perhaps a little bit funky about it. That if we knew, all right, think about this, if we knew that I'm the prodigal son, man, and I get to go home. It doesn't matter what debauchery and terrible, murderous, horrible stuff I've done. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Because I know the very moment that I begin that journey home, that I am so relieved. I have finally given up the lifestyle that keeps me separated from my true family, from my true origin. If my true origin of, partying and having prodigal son life was out there, then I wouldn't pine to go home. You see the correlation? We are asking of other human beings to help us relate with ourselves in a very cosmic, spiritually deep way, yet we're doing it through our ego and constructs of stuff that is very clearly human behavior driven. It's not necessarily heart-centered. Mind-centered and heart-centered together can get you some really juicy stuff. Heart-centered by itself without a whole lot of framework can get you people who get run over and stomped on and very angry about it. And then mind only with no connection to heart-center gets you Jeffrey Dahmer eventually. So, it's a matter of it's all on a continuum, and this is a very tumultuous time. So it's a perfect time to really get in touch with what is cosmically aligning with you, spiritually or within you, without religion being involved, because that just opens up the door to way too much debate, and I'm not interested in it. We skip the whole lesson of what's being taught around us every day, all day, by getting involved in the labels that hung us up, at the doorway. Like, oh, you got hung up at the door. That was the bouncer back there. That you let that be a bouncer. That wasn't a bouncer. That was just a dude standing there. And you assumed that we had to get all busy about a title, Well, I'm not that. Well, I'm this and I'm that. Because we're evaluating whether something's good enough or not, and see how it all ties back with, if out there on the prodigal road, that, oh, this is just some dumb stuff. I'm going to constantly be chasing the next best thing, and somebody's always going to have an expectation of me, and I'm going to just keep on this rat race in the wheel, right? And the minute I go home, if I know absolutely 100%, no matter what my stinky brother might say, no matter what my dad might say, no matter what, no, his dad, I retract that, because his dad's perfect, right? But his brother, he was having a minute, But the beauty of it is the dad tells him, hush, a sheep has come home. Lost sheep is making its way home. And that is the ultimate good of humanity, is that all sheep get home without there being unnecessary, ridiculous slaughtering in between any further. We've lost enough. So ease up off your brother. He was ignorant, whatever you think. However, he's on his way home, and I'm celebrating the fact that money's money. Food was food. Women were women. Wine were wine. Wine was wine. However, I have my son back. That makes my family even more complete. Because how can my family be complete if my son is lost out there? Being distracted by the orphan fun of the world. Sometimes it's fun to go wild on the world, and we don't fully realize when we get to the end of that expenditure, it might not have been well worth it, and we get slammed to the ground with an ego death of some kind. It's a good time to take an opportunity to use that smack, learn what we need to learn, and connect with child of the universe means I'm good 100% of the time. And that orphan of the world stuff, next time somebody disappoints me, it can't disappoint me that bad, because I know exactly where to go inside to find my dad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, truly, I get sad, sure, sometimes disappointed, absolutely. But if I have no expectation, I mean, truly, no locked-in expectation, then I can really let a lot go. And when I do have an agreement with someone and they let me down, well, I still have to be all grown up about it, because somebody will. That's just the way of this world, is we have free will. We're not going to get 100% compliance with everybody doing what we want to all of the time, especially when we're not all choosing spiritually. We're choosing, many of us, quite egoically, and that just puts us in different jobs doing different tasks in a completely different way. And I'm pretty sure you do that. I live near the Air Force Academy, and that's hilarious, because I never, very rarely do I get that, and that's the first time. See, thank you. That's the first time, probably 6 months, that I've had a flyback since graduation, Air Force graduation back in May. So a few months. Anyhow, see, that got me distracted. That got me all kinds of distracted, but that's okay. It's a perfect time for me to just say that we're in a very busy and chaotic time, Mercury retrograde and all these things. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's really okay. It's about being able to understand that in the story of life, looking very, very realistically at the real D of it, is that in the prodigal son story, not a one of us can say we've not been the father, the son, and the brother. And every little trick on the road out there, you know, to some degree. Now, it doesn't really matter in this instance. It doesn't really matter when you say, you know, there's been an infraction. There's been an infraction. It's, you know, it's like saying that 2 plus 3 equals 4 is better than saying that 2 plus 2,468 plus 4, you know, that's less of an error. Well, really? I mean, they're both math errors. Now, in terms of what, you know, the most egregious action we can take against someone, it does rack up differently when we're taking, you know, conscious, intended choice. And that's why it really helps to get next to that child of the universe, because that will help us change the intended choices we're making. We'll get out of those wounded, egoic places where we've been orphaned by the world over and over and over again. I mean, beat up. And when we understand that, Dad, can I come home? Yeah. Most of us, though, we don't know we have that call, and even if we do what we would normally think we would call, might not be so forgiving. So I would urge you to work real diligently and intendedly towards finding the phone call that isn't to a human face, that can really help you get to that place of, I am truly a child of the universe, and I cannot be orphaned by the world. Not for long before I go and find my parents again, my cosmic hug, my mom and dad, God, Allah, Brahma, Saint Germain, whoever it is that you give props to, man. I give props to all of it, because anything working for the betterment of humanity, I'm for the good of everyone. So I'm working on that angle, and I hope you are too. Take care of yourself, and I hope you have a beautiful day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine, baby. It really is truly fine. You look great. See you next time. Mwah.